Good morning, children. Here it is the third video. We are not afraid to die if we can all be together. In this video, you will learn much and more about some vocabulary. It is the third video that will tell you something more about the things that you are to learn. What are they? Smashed, broken, scrambled, moved quickly, timbers, wooden beams, starboard, right side of the ship, slashed, moved, bunk, sleeping berth, bump, swelling, bashed, hit hard, dinghies, small ship's boat, for staysail, front staysail, rinsed, pulled violently, jib, triangular staysail, anchor, heavy iron, plumbed in water to fasten boats. Really, these are the word meanings that will help you understand the lesson much better. Here now you will understand Larry and Herb, who were the crewmen, started pumping like madmen. Broken timbers were there. They were hung at crazy angles. The whole starboard side bulged inward. Cloths, crockery, charts, tins, and toys sloshed about in deep water. It was a very troublesome moment. The narrator half swam, half crawled, because his condition was very bad, into the children's cabin and asked the children whether they were all right. He asked. Yes, they answered from an upper bunk. But his head hurts a bit, Suzanne said, pointing to a big bump over her eyes. Her eyes were completely swollen. He had no time to worry about the swollen heads of his family. After finding a hammer, screws, and canvas, and secure waterproof hatch covers across the gaping holes, he could just manage the things. Some water continued to stream below, but most of it was then being deflected over the side. All this water was just moving. There were some more problems. When their hand pumps started to block up with the debris floating around the cabins, and the electric pump short-circuited. Now the electric pump short-circuited. It was a big problem. The water level rose threateningly. All of them came back on the deck. He found that their two spare hand pumps had been rinsed overboard, had been disturbed, along with the fuel staysail, the jib, the dinghies, and the main anchor. These all were there. Then he remembered. What things did he find? Fuel staysail, the jib, the dinghies, and the main anchor. These were the things that were there. Then he remembered. What did he remember? They had another electric pump. Where was it? It was under the chart room floor. He connected it to an outpipe, and he was thankful to find that it started working. The night continued with an endless, bitterly cold routine of pumping. He had to pump whole night, steering, and was trying to contact through the radio. They were getting no replies. Certainly, in this situation, what he might have thought, it was an emergency call. They wanted to find some other ships nearby. It was not surprising in this remote corner of the world. There was nothing else, no ship, no help. Only the God's help was there. Self-help was there. It is true that those who help themselves, God helps them. Sue's head had swollen alarmingly. She had two big black eyes. Now she showed them a deep cut on her arm. When he asked why she had not made more of her injuries before this, she replied, I did not want to worry you when you were trying to save us all. What a condition was there! It was a disastrous condition that might have really made her think. By morning January 3, the pumps had the water level sufficiently under control for them to take 2 hours rest in rotation. They thought that they could take a rest for 2 hours in rotation, but they still had a tremendous leak somewhere below the water line. And after checking it, he found that nearly all the boats' main reef frames were so much smashed down to the keel that it was very difficult to save the life. In fact, there was nothing holding up a whole section of the starboard hull except a few cupboard partitions. It was very, very difficult. They had to survive for 15 hours since the wave hit. But Wave Walker would not hold together long enough for them to reach Australia they wanted to reach. He checked the charts and calculated there were two small islands that were a few hundred kilometers to the east. How far? Few hundred kilometers to the east. One of them was Isle Amsterdam. Isle Amsterdam. It was a French scientific base. What was this Isle Amsterdam? A French scientific base. The only hope was to reach these pinpricks in this very vast ocean. But unless the wind and the seas abated, they could hoist sail. They could hoist sail. It was the chances that could really make them scream. The great wave had put their auxiliary engine out of action. Helping engine was out of action. So it was very difficult to manage all these things. He wanted to go to such a position that could. Here you can understand these things in a much better way. Here the narrator wants to say that they had faced such a ominous, troublesome condition that was so difficult to be managed. They wanted to reach some safe place where they could take rest. It was the Isle Amsterdam, but it was also when the emergency calls were made There was no other ship in that very region. So it was very, very hopeless condition, most desperate condition that really happened. Thank you, children. I will tell you something more in the next video. Thank you.